Hi everyone, it's Scott from Maths Logos, where we want to see education through the lens of the Bible. In this lesson, we're going to look at how we convert decimals to fractions. Let's look at our first example. So write 0.6 as a fraction in its simplest form. So to do these questions today, we're going to use what we call place value. This digit 6 is in the tenths column. We spell that with a THS. And what that means is we can go straight to this. 0.6 is equal to 6 tenths. And we want to write it in its simplest form, so we're going to divide through by the highest common factor of 6 and 10, which is 2. We'll divide 6 by 2 to give us 3, and we'll divide 10 by 2 to give us 5. So 0.6 is 3/5. Pause the video and give these questions a go. Let's look at our first example. Write 0.9 as a fraction in its simplest form. So the digit 9 is in the tenths column, so we can say that 0.9 is 9 tenths. In the next example, it says write 0.05 as a fraction in its simplest form. The digit 5 is in the hundredths column. So what we can say is that 0.05 is equal to 5 hundredths. And we want to write that fraction in its simplest form. Both 5 and 100 are divisible by 5. I can divide through by 5 over 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. My answer is 1/20th. Part C, write 0.002 as a fraction in its simplest form. The digit 2 is in the thousandths column. So what I can say is that 0.002 is equal to 2 thousandths. And I'll divide through by 2 on the numerator and the denominator. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1000 divided by 2 is 500. So that's my answer. The next example says write 0.32 as a fraction in its simplest form. To do this, I'm going to go to the digit which has the smallest value, which is the 2. And this digit is in the hundredths column. And I know that this 3 is in the tenths column. So I can say that 0.32 is equal to 3 tenths, add 2 hundredths. Now I need to be able to add those fractions together, and to do that I need a common denominator. So I'm going to change the 3 tenths into 30 hundredths. And I can add on my 2 hundredths. 30 hundredths and 2 hundredths is 32 hundredths, like that. Now there is actually a quicker way to do this. If we look originally at the smallest place value digit, which is the 2, that tells us what our denominator needs to be. So in this case, it would be 100. And then we can write the other 2 digits on the numerator. So we could go straight to the 32 over 100. At this point, we want to simplify our fraction. We'll divide through by the highest common factor. Both 32 and 100 are divisible by 4. I'll divide through by 4 over 4. 32 divided by 4 is 8, and 100 divided by 4 is 25. So my answer is 8/25. Pause the video and give this question a go. The answer to that question is now on your screen. If you're following along in our lesson booklets, you can now complete exercises 1 and 2. Let's look at our next example. Write 0.125 as a fraction in its simplest form. So again, we're going to go to the digit which is in the smallest place value column, which is the 5, and the 5 is in the thousandths column. And that's going to tell us what our denominator is in the fraction. So 0.125 is equal to 125. I place these digits on the numerator over 1000. And then I have to simplify that fraction. So I can tell that these are both divisible by 5. So I'll divide through by 5 over 5. And I'll divide 125 by 5 off to the side. 5 goes into 1 0 times, carry the 1. 5 goes into 12 twice with 2 left over. And 5 goes into 25 5 times. So 125 divided by 5 is 25, and 1000 divided by 5 is 200. At this point, I want to check and see, okay, have I fully simplified it? And the answer is no, because these are both divisible by 5 again. So on my next line, I'll say that 25 over 200 can be simplified further by dividing by 5 again. 25 divided by 5 is 5, and 200 divided by 5 is 40. And we're still not done. We can simplify this fraction further. Both 5 and 40 are divisible by 5 again. So I'll say that 5/40ths can be simplified by dividing by 5 on the numerator and the denominator. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 40 divided by 5 is 8. Therefore, 0.125 is equal to 1/8. Pause the video and give these questions a go. Your answers will be on screen in a second. You can now check what you got against the answers that are on the screen. Our next example says write 1.2 as a mixed number in its simplest form. I can think of 1.2 as 1 add 0.2. And because I want it as a mixed number, I'm going to keep this whole number part, and I'm just going to change my 0.2 into a fraction. 0.2 is 2/10ths. And if I divide through by 2 on the numerator and denominator, that gives me 1/5. So 1.2 is equal to 1 1/5. Pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, let's run through it. Write 2.5 as a mixed number in its simplest form. So 2.5 is equal to 2 add 0.5. And 0.5 is 5/10ths, which is equal to 1/2. So 2.5 is equal to 2 and 1/2. Let's look at our next example. Write 2.125 as an improper fraction in its simplest form. There are a few different ways to do this. The first is to think of 2.125 as 2 add 0.125. And if you remember from earlier in the lesson, we've seen that 0.125 is 1/8. So we can go straight to 2 and 1/8. And that's a mixed number, so you need to turn that into an improper fraction. We'll do 2 multiplied by 8 to give us 16/8. What I've done there is I've turned 2 into 8ths, so 16/8, and I've got that additional 8th. Add on. So 2.125 is equal to 17/8. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to go to our smallest value digit, which is the 5, and that tells me that my denominator is going to be 1,000 if I want to do it this way. And what I can do is I can place the digits in the number on the numerator, and my denominator is 1,000. And then I can work my way through and simplify that fraction. I'd divide through by 5/5 to start with, and we would do 2,125 divided by 5 with short division, and it gives us 425. 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. And I'd continue to simplify that by dividing through by the highest common factors. So 425 divided by 200 can also be divided by 5 on the numerator and denominator. And again, I would do that with short division. 425 divided by 5 would give me 85. And 200 divided by 5 would give me 40. But it's still not fully simplified. We can still divide through by 5. I'll take 85/40 and divide through by 5 one last time. 85 divided by 5 gives me 17. And 40 divided by 5 gives me 8. So I reached the same answer as I did the other way. Pause the video and give this one a go. Let's go through it. Write 8.005 as an improper fraction in its simplest form. What I can do is I can think of 8.005 as 8 and 0.005. And I'm going to keep the whole number part, and I'm going to change the 0.005 into 5/1000ths. And then off to the side, I'll simplify my 5/1000ths. I'll divide by 5 on the numerator and the denominator to give me 1/200th. So 8.005 is 8 and 1/200th. And then I'll turn 8 and 1/200th into an improper fraction. So to do that, I'll do 200 multiplied by 8, and let's do that off to the side. 200 multiplied by 8 is a related calculation to 2 multiplied by 8. And if I know 2 multiplied by 8 is 16, 200 multiplied by 8 must be 1600. So my fraction is going to be 1600 over 200. That's the 8. I turned 8 into 1600 over 200. And then I have to add on the extra 200th. I'm going to add my numerators. So 1600 add 1 is 1601. And then I do not add my denominators. And that's my answer. Our last example says write the following numbers in ascending order. 1.4, 0.2, 1 1/5, and 2/5. Ascending order means from smallest to largest. So if you imagine if you're ascending a mountain, it means you're starting at the bottom and you're going to the top. And to do this, I want to convert them all into the same form. So I could either convert them all into fractions or into decimals. Because this lesson is about going to fractions, let's do that. Let's turn 0.2 into a fraction. If you remember from earlier, we said that was 1/5. So I'll write that above. And then 1.4, I can turn that into a fraction as well. So we can say that 1.4 is equal to 1 add 0.4. And from earlier in the lesson, we said that 0.4 was 2/5. So I'll write that above my number here. And then I can start to order them. So I can see that 1/5 is the smallest. So I'll write 0.2 as my first number in the list. Then we have 2/5. So I'll write that next. Then it's 1 1/5. And lastly, 1 2/5, which we said was 1.4 originally. And so I put them in ascending order. Pause the video and give this one a go. So write the following numbers in descending order. To descend means to go from the largest to the smallest. And this time we want to turn them all into fractions like we did before. So 0.5 is 1/2. 1.5 is 1 1/2. And we can write it as a mixed number like that. And let's turn this 7 over 2 into mixed number. So 2 goes into 7 3 times with 1 left over. So 3.5. And 2 over 2 is 1. You can then put them into descending order. So we want to start with the largest. So that would be the 7 over 2. Then we have the 1.5 or 1.5. After that, we have 2 over 2 or 1. And lastly, we have 0.5. If you're following along in our lesson booklets, please pause the video and complete exercises 3 and 4. And if you enjoyed this video, please drop us a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.